Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sophie Erber. The Federal Trade Commission and Congress are both targeting some of the largest tech companies tonight, accusing them of behaving like monopolies. Alexandra Limon reports from Washington on what steps the government is taking now to break up big tech in our top story at 5.
The Federal Trade Commission says the agency is ready to start more vigorous enforcement of its rules.
Prohibiting conduct that is unfair, deceptive, anti-competitive, collusive, coercive, predatory, exploitative, and exclusionary, among others.
As part of that goal, last week the FTC voted to give itself more power to go after companies in the tech industry and other industries that the agency says are acting like monopolies. The rule changes allow the agency to bring antitrust cases when companies hurt competitors, not just consumers. And the FTC approved greater use of subpoena power in its investigations,
enabling more expeditious investigatory process. This is particularly important given that we are in the midst of a massive merger boom.
The U.S. tech sector is the envy of the world.
Matt Shears, president and CEO of the Computer and Communications Industry Association, says all businesses should play by the rules, but argues more regulations could hurt American businesses and consumers.
The consumers lose out because it's through that combat, through that aggressive innovation and price cuts that the consumers benefit.
But many lawmakers agree with the FTC. That's why Congress also recently advanced a bipartisan package of bills that could reshape or even break up portions of Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Google.
And here in Siouxland, a homicide investigation underway in northern Iowa after 3 bodies were found on Monday night. The Algona Police Department says a 911 call came in shortly before 8 in the evening about a homicide on the 400 block of South Harlan Street. Responding officers found 3 people deceased. Police have not yet released any names as authorities work to notify family members first. Autopsies are currently being performed by the State Medical Examiner's Office in Ankeny to determine the official cause of death. Officials do say there is no threat to the public from this incident. And a grim discovery in Fort Dodge over the weekend. A body was found inside the freezer area of a vacant restaurant. The body of 56-year-old Terry Brogan was found Sunday afternoon at the former Casablanca Steakhouse. City officials say since that restaurant closed back in 2019, homeless people would occasionally seek shelter there. Police say there were no immediate signs of foul play. Anyone with information is urged to call the Fort Dodge Police Department. That number is on your screen, 515-573-1424. The Biden administration plans to issue a new rule to protect the rights of farmers who raise cows, chickens, and hogs against the country's largest meat processors. This all part of a plan to encourage more competition in the agriculture sector. The new rule will make it easier for farmers to sue companies they contract with over unfair prices. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is also expected to tighten the definition of what it means for meat to be labeled a product of the USA. That's to exclude when animals are raised in other countries and simply processed here in the U.S. The USDA official familiar with the White House's plan says an executive order is expected to be announced sometime this week. A Morningside basketball player is now Iowa's first female athlete with a name, image, and likeness agreement. This after the Supreme Court recently ruled in favor of student athletes generating revenue. Madison Clayton plays guard for the Morningside women's basketball team and now has an agreement in place with Silver Star Car Wash. The junior will make some social media posts to promote the business while she receives an undisclosed incentive for the partnership. KCAU 9's Jason Toktagian will explain how Clayton became the first female athlete with one of these NIL agreements and the impact it has on student athletes. That's coming up tonight at 10. And a great day to get your car washed. Chief Meteorologist Scott Larson standing by, although we could have had a natural wash on your car. Despite the warm temperatures, some moisture moving through Siouxland, but we need it.
Yeah, that's what's coming through right now, Sophie. We did have some severe weather occur last night. We've been on the watch for that again this evening. As we check the radar now, you can see that we do have some rain that is spread across northeast Nebraska, continuing to approach Interstate 29 at this time. You can see that we have some ongoing stronger cells up north along Interstate 90 in southern Minnesota. And again, some light to moderate rain showers that are happening in northeast Nebraska. Officially, a severe thunderstorm watch lasting until 10 o'clock tonight. Wherever you see the red on your screen, chances are fairly slim, but one or two of these storms could get going and produce some small hail or gusty winds. And it looks like there is a slight risk of severe weather anywhere that you have the yellow on your screen. We'll have more information on some additional storm chances coming later this week. That's in the 9 on 9 forecast coming up. Sophie?
Thanks, Scott. Well, the housing market here in Siouxland is hot. We know this, and it's attracting record numbers of realtors, too. The Iowa Association of Realtors just reached 8,000 members. The low interest rates, coupled with a high demand for homes, are just some of the reasons sellers and buyers are attracted to Siouxland this summer. KCAU 9 News reporter Nick Wilson explains later how people are even changing their careers to get involved in the real estate industry. Demand for all sorts of goods driving up the price tonight to ship them. The average price for a 40-foot container has more than quadrupled from just 1 year ago. Experts say the rising rates for spots on cargo ships is a combination of high demand, supply chain disruptions, and congestion at major shipping ports. And staffing shortages are beginning to hit the blood supply. LifeServe blood centers across the state of Iowa are now canceling mobile blood drives because of a lack of staff to operate them. That's why they're now asking folks to please take the extra step of making an appointment at your local donor center.
So by asking people to go one step further and come to us, we know it's a big ask, but it is something that unfortunately we're just facing right now with the staffing shortage. And I think that folks kind of understand that everyone's trying to do what they can.
Blood donated here in Siouxland goes right here to support hospitals and across the tri-state region. Tropical storm Elsa tonight is impacting the search and rescue efforts in Surfside, Florida at that collapsed condo. Crews already dealing with outer bands now bracing for even tougher conditions. ABC's Rena Roy has the very latest.
Florida now under a state of emergency with the growing threat of Tropical Storm Elsa. But crews relying on expertise and dedication still fighting through the rain and wind as they search for victims.
The wind is hampering the large cranes moving very heavy debris. That's a challenge that they're attempting to work around right now.
Weather Service officials joining those rescue teams on the ground to keep an eye on deteriorating conditions, making sure it's safe for first responders.
We do continue to expect occasional gusts and strong showers today, and we're closely monitoring the weather.
Several more bodies have been pulled from the rubble after the remainder of the condo building was demolished Sunday, with workers now able to reach every corner of debris as they also meticulously gather evidence to figure out how this happened. Meantime, so many families still in limbo, waiting for news on their loved ones nearly 2 weeks later. Some, like Ashley Dean, holding out for a miracle.
I feel so empty because Cassie was just so full of life. I struggle to even grasp the thought of living the rest of my life without her.
And just to give an idea of how much debris there really is, the fire rescue chief says crews have removed 5 million pounds off the top of the pile. Local officials now promising policy change at every level in the building process to ensure this never happens again. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Delayed and rerouted. Hundreds of travelers stranded in the state of California last week. How lack of jet fuel is being blamed now and what experts say might be causing it coming up.
And we can't rule out a risk of a strong storm this evening, but most will just receive a beneficial rain. It looks like much cooler temperatures for tomorrow with highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s and some more rain chances develop toward the weekend. Your 9 on 9 forecast next.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Sophie Erber and Chief Meteorologist Scott Larson. This is KCAU 9 News at 5.
Thanks for sticking with us. Parts of Siouxland tonight looking out for potential severe weather.
Potential, that's right, Sophie. The potential is honestly fairly small, but at least most will catch in on some rain, and we're desperately in need of that. But officially, a severe thunderstorm watch is in place for Dakota and Dixon counties in northeast Nebraska, Union County in southeast South Dakota, and you can see a healthy chunk of northwest Iowa as well. So 1 or 2 thunderstorms through the evening hours here may have the potential of producing some 1-inch sized hail, perhaps some 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Also, as we look at the radar as it currently stands, you can see that those rain showers are continuing to persist, moving from west to east. You can see that as these storms continue to the east, they are largely on Saturday and going through the remainder of next week. Some nice sunny skies, high temperatures looking to hold steady in the 80s. Well, last night we had some powerful storms, especially up north around Sioux Falls. Here's what the scene looked like in Archer, Iowa. Thank you to Kendra for passing in some pictures that you can find on my KCAU 9 Facebook page. Go to SiouxlandProud.com, go to the weather tab, send us your photos if you have something that you want to share.
I do love those storm clouds. They're really cool. Thanks for that shot.
Sure thing.
All right. Well, reading aloud can be challenging for some kids, but a local library is offering a heartwarming kind of solution. It's called Read to a Dog. Ben and Belle are some of the few volunteers that come to the North Sioux City Community Library that is for this recurring event. The program was started around 4 years ago to help encourage kids to read aloud to a non-judgmental kind of listener.
If you have your brother or sister, they might giggle at you if you say something wrong. Or parents, sometimes they're just used to hearing their kids talk, and the kid might be nervous, especially if they're learning some new words. Where a dog is just going to sit there and listen to them and not judge them at all. Bye.
The program runs from 10 in the morning to noon on Mondays and Tuesdays, and it is by appointment. Well, a teenage summer job is thriving, but he's not pocketing all the cash. How he's making a difference in more ways than one, despite his disability, coming up in about 7 minutes. But first, a jet fuel issue sent travelers to cities not on their itinerary. What American Airlines says caused it, and what experts say travelers should remain patient for. Next. Diverted and delayed. A fuel shortage at Fresno Yosemite International Airport sent travelers to cities that were not on their itinerary, driving up flying frustrations. Flights had to make stops at other airports in order to make it to their destination. Jessica Harrington shares the story.
Over the last 5 days at Fresno Yosemite International Airport, United and American have had to divert at least 20 flights and cancel one because of the fuel shortage. Fresno flights have had to make fuel stops in Bakersfield, San Jose, Las Vegas, and other airports. Julie Lucido boarded her plane and then had to get off because of the lack of fuel.
I've never seen, I almost took a picture and then I had too much stuff in my hands of just the flight of planes not going anywhere because of apparently no fuel.
A spokesperson for American Airlines sent a statement to ABC 30 Monday saying, quote, "Our fuel vendor experienced a brief issue late last week and we worked to limit impact to our customers. All fuel systems are now back on track." However, the spokesperson did not elaborate on what issue the vendor faced. Jim Price, the vice president of operations of Gemini Flight Support, is based out of Merced County Castle Airport. He says the fuel supply comes from the LA area or Bay Area.
This year, we've had issues with staffing for the carriers that deliver it. All the fuel is delivered by truck.
Price says a shortage of drivers and laws only allowing them to drive a certain amount of time each day can slow down deliveries. He also says aircraft used to fight fires are prioritized for fuel, and during the summer months, supply and demand can become an issue.
I would just say, travelers, be patient. People are going to work on this, and they don't want to have those delays.
An idea sparked from social media. Painting addresses on curbs has turned into quite the lucrative business for one teenager. How it benefits the community and the charitable work he's doing with extra profit. Next. A teenager is bringing color to people's curbs in Texas, but it's more than just art. His work is helping first responders find addresses easier, while the profits are helping those with disabilities. Lauren Margolis shows us how.
Josh Sanders is a 17-year-old just trying to make the most of his summer break. After getting the idea through social media, he decided to start a curb painting business. To his surprise, the small venture took off almost instantly.
I've just been scheduling house after house, and I'm pretty much lined up for at least 2 more weeks right now on jobs.
Josh was born with an undiagnosed disability that makes it hard for him to move, thanking the power of prayer for gaining movement in some parts of his body over the years.
I started gaining more momentum in my legs, and I started scooting across the floors, kind of.
Never allowing anything to stop him from living life to the fullest.
I try to not let a disability or something of that matter hold me back from anything.
He uses a wheelchair to get around, and with the help of one of his best friends since childhood, the two are traveling around East Texas, painting address numbers on the curb.
I would just put his wheelchair in my truck and we would ride around, and I would help them out by holding down the stencils, getting the paint, putting everything in the bag.
This sidewalk art might add a nice touch to your home, but having your address visible on the street helps first responders find your house easier when going to emergencies.
The visibility of your address number is more important than I actually thought it was.
It's not just a fun summer job for Josh. These numbers may look pretty, but they're also going towards a good cause. He says some of the proceeds are going towards an organization called Ambucks.
Ambucks is an organization that helps build Amtraks for kids with disabilities that can't physically ride like a regular bicycle. They also fund ramp builds.
Josh says he always finds a new customer while out painting curbs, just showing how much of a demand there is now for his new job. Pretty cool. We take a live look outside right now on this warm night. Scott returns with one more check on our forecast, but first this stormy look at downtown Sioux City. Before we wrap up here at 5, let's check in first with Tim for what's coming up at 6. Hi, Tim.
Hey, good afternoon, Sophie. A lot of folks keeping their eye on the sky today. Is first time in a long time, wide area of Siouxland with a chance to get some rain. Farmers, of course, need that. We'll have that update coming up. Also at 6, new information surrounding a fatal amusement park accident involving a ride that you or someone you know very well may have been on recently. The father of a boy who died on the raging river at Adventureland Park in Altoona tonight explaining what he says happened. And leafy spurge is one of South Dakota's most noxious weeds, but sheep apparently don't seem to mind. Coming up at 6, we'll show off steps that one rancher is now taking to keep the weed under control. It's not necessarily a new idea, but his methods might be. We'll have that coming up in about a half an hour. That's when we'll all join you in studio. They'll see you then.
All right, thanks a lot, Tim. Leafy spurge, very interesting. And
Never heard of it.
Again, we are talking about a risk of some severe weather tonight. One more look at that.
That's right, a small chance out there, Sophie, but stay alert to changing conditions. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock tonight. Looking at the radar currently, just some light to moderate rain showers happening as most of the stronger storms have developed in southwestern Minnesota. Looking at the 9-on-9 forecast, additional storm chances Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Friday, definitely a day to take note as some of those storms could be on the stronger side. Overall, it looks like highs will be sticking in the 80s, so a little bit cooler than where we have been.
All right, thanks so much, Scott. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again at 6 with Tim and Jake. Until then, have a great night, everyone.